Inside a military command center, a radar blip is moving at Mach 10. The clock starts a countdown at 14 minutes and 59 seconds. Military leadership has no way to verify if this incoming projectile is carrying a conventional explosive or a strategic nuclear warhead before it makes impact. This 15-minute response window replaces decades of predictable diplomacy. We have to ask why the safety protocols of the 20th century no longer apply to this new technical reality. The strategic logic that prevented World War III for 70 years is under pressure from a technical shift that turns old security assumptions upside down. Stability used to be based on the Stability-Instability Paradox. It is the theory that defined Cold War peace. Imagine two rivals in indestructible bomb disposal suits. Because they know they cannot kill each other, they feel safe getting into a brutal fistfight. The certainty of mutually assured destruction acted as a shield, letting nations wage limited proxy wars without risking total annihilation. This assumption of a safe ceiling on warfare allowed powers to establish hundreds of permanent military bases around the world. This era of safe conflict relied on a physical separation between conventional weapons and nuclear force. Modern technology has bridged that gap. Statecraft relies on four pillars: diplomacy, information, military, and economics. Today, these pillars are failing simultaneously. Look at the diplomacy column here. With the New START treaty expired, the world is in a strategic vacuum. There are no legally binding limits or inspections on nuclear arsenals, forcing states to operate on worst-case assumptions. The information pillar is affected by intelligence parity. As this satellite shows, commercial radar tech allows smaller nations to track troop movements and base locations in real time. Secrecy is a vanishing resource. In economics, the math of attrition is failing. Defending a base is unsustainable when $20,000 drones force the launch of $3.5 million interceptor missiles. This leads to the zero operational utility seen on the right. Because these bases are visible and expensive to defend, they have become high-value target traps. When diplomacy, secrecy, and industrial capacity fall behind, the global security system faces a high risk of malfunction. The primary catalyst is non-nuclear strategic weapons. Systems like the Mach 10 Orishnik destroy hardened bunkers through pure momentum without radioactive fallout, but they introduce dual-use ambiguity. On radar, a hypersonic missile looks identical whether carrying a kinetic weight or a nuclear bomb. A radar ping triggers a 15-minute window. The maneuvering missile could target a conventional runway or a national command center. As the clock drops, commanders cannot wait. They must assume their strategic deterrent is under a decapitation attack. Extremely high speeds strip away the time needed for human verification. Decisions move faster than diplomacy can handle. This environment creates the Inverted Stability-Instability Paradox. High-speed conventional strikes now look like nuclear first strikes to early warning networks. The firewall that once separated local fights from global destruction has vanished. Strategic deterrence was meant to make the world safe for limited war. In this new era, any regional clash sits on a hair trigger for mutual destruction. Traditional force projection through overseas bases is now an unmanageable risk. State-on-state conventional warfare currently yields a negative net utility. It drains industrial capacity and costs trillions of dollars while creating systemic vulnerability. The 20th century strategy of maintaining static military outposts has hit a physical and economic wall. International stability now requires a shift away from these vulnerable outposts. The tools of hegemonic war have reached their limit, and the 15-minute clock is already running.